It was supposed to be a normal Monday morning. The students of Willow Creek Middle School dragged their feet into class, half awake and still clutching their morning coffee or energy drinks. The school was quiet, except for the occasional clatter of lockers slamming shut and the soft chatter echoing down the hallways. But the moment Officer Daniels entered with his K-9 partner, Max, everything changed. Max was a German shepherd with a reputation, sharp, loyal, and always calm. He'd been trained for years to detect drugs, explosives, and danger. He'd visited many schools as part of safety outreach programs. Kids loved him. Teachers trusted him. He was the kind of dog who could sit patiently in the middle of chaos and not so much as blink. But that day, Max wasn't calm. The moment they entered room 204, Mrs. Keller's 8th grade English classroom, Max froze. His ears shot up. His body tensed. And then, he barked. Loud. Sharp. Relentless. The entire class jolted. Mrs. Keller jumped, nearly dropping the markers she had in her hand. "Easy, boy," Officer Daniels said, tugging gently at Max's leash. But the barking only grew louder. Aggressive. Focused. His eyes were locked, directly on the teacher. The students laughed nervously at first, thinking it was a trick or part of the demonstration. But Max wasn't playing. He growled, pulling toward Mrs. Keller with an intensity that instantly turned the atmosphere from curiosity to fear. His hackles were raised. His bark pierced through the room like a siren. "Daniels," Mrs. Keller said, her voice trembling slightly. "What's going on? Why is he doing that?" Officer Daniels tried to calm Max down, kneeling beside him, speaking softly, but it didn't help. Max lunged, still restrained, barking like he'd found a ticking time bomb. Then, the air changed. Mrs. Keller's smile faltered. The students watched as her hands began to shake. One of them, Lily, whispered to her friend, "Something's wrong." Officer Daniels knew his partner well. Max never misread a situation. If he was reacting like this, there was a reason. "Mrs. Keller," Daniels said carefully, standing up. "I'm going to need you to step aside." But she didn't move. Instead, her face twisted, not in confusion, but something else. Something darker. And then, she bolted. Before anyone could react, Mrs. Keller shoved her desk aside and made a dash toward the back door. Max nearly broke free from his harness trying to chase after her. Officer Daniels jumped into action, radioing for backup as he followed, yelling for the school to go into lockdown. What happened next shocked the entire community. The news spread like wildfire. Within hours, every parent, teacher, and student in Willow Creek was talking about what happened in room 204. That day, police uncovered a truth hidden in plain sight. Mrs. Keller, real name Dana Keller, had been living under a false identity for nearly 8 years. She wasn't just a school teacher, she was a fugitive. Years ago, she had been involved in an underground narcotics ring and disappeared just before a massive drug bust. Authorities had lost all trace of her. She had changed her name, moved states, and somehow passed all background checks to become a respected middle school teacher. No one had ever suspected a thing. But Max had. What he picked up wasn't drugs or explosives, it was fear. Human adrenaline. The unique scent of guilt and panic. Something about Mrs. Keller's behavior, her body language, even the way she looked at the dog, it had triggered his training instincts. And that instinct had saved the day. The emotional fallout. The betrayal hit the students hard. Some of them cried in class the next day. Others just sat silently, struggling to process how someone they trusted could have lied so deeply. Lily, who had shared stories about her life with Mrs. Keller, stopped speaking for almost a week. The school brought in counselors. Parents held emergency PTA meetings. Everyone was shaken, not just because of what had been hidden, but because they all felt fooled. vulnerable. But amidst the confusion and heartbreak, something beautiful began to happen. Students, who usually kept to their friend groups, began talking more openly. They checked in on each other. Teachers, realizing how fragile trust could be, started being more vulnerable with their students, sharing stories from their own lives. And Max? Max became a hero. He and Officer Daniels visited every classroom in the weeks following. Max received a medal from the town's mayor and a whole day was dedicated in his honor, K9 Max Day. Children drew pictures of him. One even wrote a song. The inspiring message that stayed behind. It wasn't just a story about a dog sensing something wrong. It was a story about intuition. About truth always finding a way to rise. About the strange, beautiful connection between a trained dog and the invisible things humans try to hide. And for Willow Creek Middle School, it was a wake-up call. People learned to listen more closely, to instincts, to feelings, to each other. They learned that even in the safest places, secrets can live, but so can heroes. And sometimes, those heroes walk on four legs, bark a little too loud, and remind us that truth has a scent. And it never stays buried for long.